I do this workshop, I do it in Asia, I do it in Europe. What I do is I invite the next generation of children. And when I say children, literally children like 13 years of age, 15 years of age, young guys and girls, who come in and spend a day with me. And all what I do is I don't tell them anything about the world. I tell them about their parents in front of other people. So I tell, say for example, Ali that your father, Mr. Ali, do you know how long I have known him for? And he says, yes, I've seen him for the last 10 years. And you and my father get along well. I said, let me just tell you one thing. And then I have made a presentation about his father. And he's sitting over there and he has never heard about what his father does. Because when we grow up, we get whatever is said to us by our mothers, our brothers and sisters. But the global view of your father, even if it is a small shop owner, but what he has done for you and how he manages his business and look at the profitability, it's like a 3-slide thing, but in front of 9 other people, 9 other children, that gives him that hope that his father is a great guy and he's done it well. And believe me, every other session that I do, I get calls from their fathers and their mothers that guy came home and he went inside his room and cried his heart out, okay, or just went inside the room and just never spoke to us for the next 3 days, understanding what has just happened in his life, right? But I'm really glad that I do that, because once they come out of the room, once they go out to their father, they're a different person. They respect their father, they respect their mother. Whatever they have done in their life, they start looking at things in a very coherent way with the same vision.
I think the underlying message and the lesson for all of us could be that in the course of days, when the pace of life is so fast, we seldom take our time to really spend time with our families. The people that you've grown up with, the houses you were born in, you think you know everything about them, but it's such an eye-opening experience, as you've mentioned, to earn that respect. And sometimes you may think that it's perhaps your parents' responsibility to take care of you, or to keep the shop sustainable, or to keep all the people that he employs happy. But when you grow, when you come of age and you realize what a huge task it was, that's when you start appreciating them.
That's true.
Furkan, do you see that these messages that we're building in and the learnings that you've gotten, how are the two of you working towards giving that message to your own children? Do they understand the kind of work that you people do?
I think our kids, my kids especially, most of the kids that I've seen, they actually take their fathers as their hero, even if they're not into the businesses that they like. Okay. Usually, these days, most of the kids do not appreciate the businesses that their parents are into, businesses and the world. Most of the kids today are lenient towards media. They're more into the game side. They're more into the sports side.
IT related,
fantasies. They're more into fantasies. And in Pakistan especially, most of the people, the parents, are not into these.
So there's a technological barrier as well in terms of communication.
So Abbas, what do you think? Like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, when these guys were putting, not all these family-owned businesses are into media. They may be doing, other stuff, making steel, making tiles, maybe fabric. Their objectives were very different. They wanted a sustainable living, and of course with time they grew. But today a young person always has fortune and fame as two things that he really aspires to get. He wants to be famous for Facebook or doing something that the world recognizes. How do you manage the ambition and the expectation in that regard?
Well, I usually suggest people to do whatever they're doing. For example, if they want to get into IT or technology or have a great platform, then do it on your side. Now, technology has given us so many different opportunities to raise funds, for example. Like we have all these crowdfunding and crowdsourcing websites, okay? That will give you an acid test whether your idea is a great idea or not before going and knocking door at your father's office, right? So you get that acid test right away, right? Go talk to your friends and family. Then you can really build up a business case on it. As far as conventional businesses versus new technology is concerned, that has been a challenge when steel came, probably, and people were making iron. So that's a gradual process. Like I remember my parents will not approve of Facebook and all other things, but but now I see my mother sending me a hi on Facebook. So things
But when you
change.
talk about this, it brings to mind one of the pioneers of fashion and beauty business in Pakistan, Mrs. Daulat Rahimtullah,
Yes.
and she brought in Pivot Point to Pakistan. But she is now, mashallah, 75 years of age, and she doesn't have family members who would like to inherit and take the business further. So what happens to businesses that have nurtured on the hearts and souls and efforts of people, and they've given it many, many decades of work, hard work, and the next generation doesn't like it, doesn't want to own it, or doesn't want to pursue it? What happens to businesses then?
Well, in that particular case, see, I don't want to comment on her specifically, but I've seen this thing happening. And the responsibility of understanding that this is happening lies on the person who sees this every day. Because this resistance must have started off 20 years ago, 30 years.
Lack of successor, there's no succession plan.
If you don't have a successor, that's a different thing. If you have a successor, then there has to be a succession plan. If you don't, then in that situation, you have to really create a structure, a corporate structure where your employees become owners, and then you have a board, and then probably a trust structure where you have a social responsibility, some sort of trust fund that you have set up for schools and chairs.
I think that's an important point, because a lot of businesses take it for granted that, okay, I'm building up this business and I would want my son, my daughter, or my sister to inherit it. People may have different choices, so you must run your businesses like a completely, global corporate entity with its own succession plan. That, in fact, is going to be an ego booster, a confidence builder for your employees and your team as well, because they also see that if they deserve it and if they've had the interest in it, then maybe they can become the CEO or the next top management person.
Absolutely, and have an equity share in the company.
True.
What I've seen in this part of the world, people don't want to share things outside of the family. When you look at the faith culture, they don't want to share things, like they don't want to give equity to you. And now this is changing. This is changing gradually. It is changing in Middle East. Maybe it's a minority share. Maybe it's 3% shares, 1%, or 50 shares, right? That gives your employee such a big boost of morale and confidence that he owns that business, right? So anything that, like believe me, I've seen people switching off lights before they go, people switching off their computers before they go, because they believe that if they do that, they save electricity. At the end of the day, the pie will be much bigger for everybody to eat.
Right.
So all of these things are coming, but somebody has to tell them. There's a lack of communication from our side as a youth, as experts. At the same time, our seniors are too busy. I mean, it's too operational intensive.
Of course, these small things make all the difference. As someone very aptly put, 90% of your most valuable resources for any organization, be it any industry, are your people. And they walk out of your door 5 p.m. every day. Your real challenge is to get them back in and make them feel as motivated and as passionate about your work as you do. On that note, we also have a collage of wonderful memories, because we spent a huge part of this interview talking about an area which is an area of interest, an area of passion for both these gentlemen. But more importantly, they sit here today because of their achievements, of the things that they have accomplished and the things that they believed in. We're going to delve into how it got to this point and what was this journey like. I'm sure that there were opportunities and challenges and failures. How did they deal with all of that? But first, let's take a look at this collage. Some great memories, family life and work life. A lot of people find it hard to balance. Is that, how do you manage it, especially with all the traveling?
Well, it is difficult. It is challenging. At the end of the day, you need to decide yourself as to where do you want to see yourself as a person, not as a professional, but as a complete package. Where do you want to see as a father, as a mother, as a son? You have to decide it yourself.